Hello and welcome to the Animation Triad. To the Animation Triad. Welcome. Hello and welcome to Animation Triad, your guide to the many worlds of animation. I, of course, am your humble host, Stu, and with us today, as usual, is...
Teddy D.
And joining us today for the first time is our good friend...
James.
And James, what are we reviewing today?
Well, today we're going to be taking a look at an interesting anime series by the name of Ghost Stories.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Now, we here at Animation Triad have some simple questions for you. Do you like anime? Do you like cartoons? Do you like animated stuff in general? If the answer is yes, then we are the channel for you. Click like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get all the animated reviews you could want. Now, before we jump into the review proper, we will, as usual, list our three main talking points for this review. And they are...
the mythology and urban legends that appear throughout the series. The dub.
Oh, the dub.
Boo.
We're not getting out the pun gun that early, so you're lucky. And of course, we will be discussing the lost episode. So strap in, initiates, and welcome to the Triad. When nearby construction disturbs a spiritual resting place, its disgruntled Desians do what any supernatural being would do after such a rude awakening. They terrorize the local school. And that means it's up to a scruffy band of young ghost hunters to expel their satanic schoolmates before everyone is sent to permanent detention. Meet Sasuke, her crybaby brother, the resident class stud, the school nerd, and psychical researcher, a born-again beauty, and a resentful demon-possessed cat. In Ghost Stories. That's the basic premise. Pretty straightforward. And, well, we're doing this a little out of order today because you need to know the basic setup and then the backstory. So we're going to move on to that now.
We're going to Tarantino this?
You know it.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost Stories is a 2000 Japanese anime directed by Noriyuki Abe. Abe is best known for directing the hit anime series Yu Yu Hakusho.
The series itself was adapted from a 1995 film called School Ghost Stories, which itself was based on the novels written by Toru Tsunemitsu.
Toru Tsunemitsu, I got it, was a school teacher who in the mid-1980s began to share ghost stories with his young students. Tsunemitsu originally began his focus on ghost stories around town, but found... sorry, my memory was a bit fuzzy there.
It's alright.
But found an unusual large amount of them centered on school.
As such, he began to narrow his focus to school-based ghost stories, and asked his students for them, which led to him receiving over 160 stories in 2 weeks.
The first collection of his stories was released in 1990. The stories were aimed at children and became big hits. So in a way, you could say he's kind of the Japanese R.L. Stine. In 1994, they were adapted into a 6-episode live-action TV miniseries and the aforementioned movies, along with several sequels.
During the 90s, school-themed ghost stories and their adaptations, most based on Tsunemitsu, I screwed up now, works began to flood the market, and by 2000 the fad had run its course.
Which sadly meant that when Ghost Stories the anime was released, it, well, wasn't all that well received in Japan.
When the series was licensed by ADV Films for dubbing, they were given 3 rules and a request.
Number 1, do not change the names of any character, including the ghost.
Number 2, do not change the way any ghost is killed, or it's based on Asian ghost legends.
3, do not change the meaning of the episode. And finally, do whatever you want to make the show successful. That last request is the key point as to why we are reviewing this series.
Also, don't feed them after midnight.
That too.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's dig into the meat of the dubbing.
Wait, don't feed the actors after midnight?
Don't feed the anime after midnight.
Oh, wow, that's even worse.
I know. Becomes hentai. Good night, folks! The dubbing. Oh, the dubbing. ADV's dub of this anime is both infamous and amazing in its own way. Because what they did was they kept the basic plot structure and the storylines, but altered much of the dialogue into comedy, which this was originally a, shall we say, kind of supernatural thriller of sorts.
Yeah.
Not a very well written one, granted, because trust us, we tried getting through the original series and oh, it's painfully slow. It really is.
A pup named Scooby-Doo did a better job.
Yes, this was definitely a Scooby-Don't, if you will, and yes, I will pay for that, because that was a pun. Yet to happen. Oh, and of course, because when there's a pun, there's the pun gun. Ready for the next one, folks. So, the man in charge of overseeing the dubbing process was Stephen Foster.
The ghost of Stephen Foster at the Hotel Paradise. This is what I told him as I gazed into his eyes.
Not that Stephen Foster. Stephen Foster of ADV Films. He worked on that, but a lot of it was also ad-libbed by the actors themselves. They just went to town with it. And, well, we actually have a clip of some of the voice actors talking about their experience with it.
Ghost stories. Explain the script writing process.
Okay, for those of y'all that don't know how many of you have seen Ghost Stories? Just out of curiosity. Awesome. Okay, ADV got the rights to a show called Ghost Stories in high school. It was, putting it nicely, a turd of a show. Even the Japanese, when they licensed it, told ADV, look, this didn't do well on TV. You may have to work with this show a little bit. And they asked, what can we do? And they're like, you can do whatever you think will make this show sell. That being said, we tore the butt out of that show. Here were the only rules we had to go by. Because you might have asked that because all of the actors got script writing credit. Or the main characters were all listed as script writers. We couldn't change the names of any of the characters. We couldn't change the names of the ghosts because they're all based on real Japanese ghost legends or Chinese ghost legends in some cases. We could not change how that ghost was killed. So like if it was killed by rubbing two sticks together and chanting a magical phrase, that's the way we had to kill it. That being said, we could change the magical phrase. Like, I'm sure in the original it was not katabe, katabe, you kick the bucket, katabe, katabe, you can suck it. I don't think that's what was said. But we couldn't change the meaning of that episode. That being said, we were allowed to make any raunchy, gross, weird joke we wanted to. And the thing is, we were crucified for it when we first did it. They're like, I can't believe anybody would destroy it. It's such a wonderful show. And I'm like, are we talking about the same boring show?
So there you go. That was from the horse's mouth themselves. When we say this gets dark, it gets dark.
Yeah.
I was laughing a lot, but there was more than a few times, and I was like, what am I watching?
Oh, there are moments in it where you're just like, oh, that was funny, but so bad.
Basically, it's just like, that was funny. I have to go feed a homeless person.
Yes.
Yeah, I was cringing, and you know I don't exactly cringe from much humor.
Yeah, I'm the heartless killer of the group of us, most likely. Or,
Right.
Certain video evidence we have. Just look back. But even I occasionally am like, ooh.
Yeah.
Case in point, the characters were changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
The main character. The main character. What's her name?
Satsuki.
Satsuki. The main character Sasuke.
Satsuki.
The main character Sasuke is, well, she's kept relatively the same, I guess. It's hard to explain without giving away the jokes, so we'll just let you experience her. But her brother,
Kaichi. Yeah.
oh my god, this one is... They made him special needs.
Yeah.
That's
And-
being nice.
Yes.
Quick
very
warning:
much.
this is not PC at all.
Oh no.
The only PC in there are the computers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much. Then we have Leo, who was made to be Jewish, especially his parents. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, he is whatever. He is super Jew.
He is the super Jew. And then we have Mamako, one of my favorite characters.
She is a jewel.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And her line, I think her line in the first episode is what truly gives it away that something's not right. Because when you first go into this series, the first episode is played straight,
Yeah.
normal, for the most
Yeah,
part.
There's like one or two things.
Yeah,
that,
one or two little comments here. But this scene right here is when you know something's a little off with the dubbing.
You're such brave, strong, handsome men. Have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior?
No, I'm Jewish.
First time I saw that scene, I literally had to rewind it to make sure I heard that properly. I love it. She's one of my favorite characters. She's hilarious, and she's so self-righteous and annoying, but so funny at the same time.
Yeah, she's one of the trees of the whole show.
I mean, the feeling I got from it is if somebody turned Cards Against Humanity into an anime.
Yeah.
And like a good game of it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, and then you have Hajime, the neighbor next door,
Oh boy.
likes to flip the main character's skirt a lot, and that is a running joke for a while until
Right.
For the rest of the semester, it's gonna be bike shorts from Nike.
she sponsor us.
Just do it.
Please.
Oh, he wants to.
Indeed,
Oh,
he
yeah.
does. He's made that quite clear. This series is just hilarious. And of course you have a ghost possessing the main character's cat by the name of Amujaku.
Amano-jaku.
Amanujaku. Oh,
The great Amano-jaku.
yes, the
Sorry.
great.
Sorry, I
Amujaku.
misspoke.
Yes, we don't want to offend.
Right.
No. But he
Not
is
to be
hilarious.
confused with the all-right Amano-jaku.
Yes.
The great Amano.
Or the medium
Yeah.
Amamujaku.
Right.
Or the lesser known, less appreciated demon formerly known as Amujaku.
Right.
Oh
Yes.
my god, he was. It was compared to like something from most any cat familiar, like the one that always pops to mind is Sailor Moon, where it's a helpful cat familiar. This was a treat.
Right.
Yeah, this was...
Because
Ew.
holy crap, it just did not.
Right.
He did not care, and
No.
even, like watching the bit from the original, it's like you still get the sense that it's reluctantly helping,
Yeah.
but this one really just gives zero crap.
None whatsoever. Constantly insulting them, but at the same time helping them because plot convenience.
True.
It's a great series. The comedy in it is wonderful. In a way, it could be seen as something of a... Actually, I think it could be considered the first quote-unquote abridged series, coming out like a year or so in America before Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series
Oh,
did.
yeah.
And it's also the only officially licensed one
Yes.
as well. I don't think we'll ever see something quite like this again.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
No,
Actually,
we're not
I'm
going
going
to.
to go on a tangent here.
Oh, yes.
Oh boy.
Pay up on those tangents.
Yes. There was an anime called Duel Masters.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh
remember
god,
that.
I remember that.
Yes, which was really, I highly recommend it. Maybe we'll do a review on it.
Possibly.
I just wanted to mention that one. I have not seen it again, and that makes me sad because it was very, very funny. Not as risque as Ghost Stories, which is one of my critique. Like usually, I love dark humor.
Mm-hmm.
The darker, the better for me. Sometimes,
Yeah.
most times. sometimes I felt like they tried a little too hard with the controversial jokes. It's just, and like I said, I'm not squeamish. I'm just, it's kind of like the episode of South Park where they unbelieve shit. And sometimes I got that sense of it's like, oh, you said shit, and then a few minutes like, you said shit, okay, But for the most part, thought this was hysterical. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have any critiques of it in general?
I'm gonna have to agree with Ted on that one. It's just a few too many, one or too many times where it's just like, okay, that one's just a little too much,
Right.
especially considering the age of the people. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
more or less, it's just like, okay, that one's a little too cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has its moments. And
For the most part, it was fine, but it's like one or two times, it's like, okay, that's a joke that's like, oh.
I can only begin to imagine what they cut out. Because as I said, this was mostly ad-libbed.
Yeah.
And they had to go back a few times and be like, yeah, let's just
Right.
take that part out.
I get in the moment, because I've said some stuff where I thought about it later, it was like, oh, that's a bad one. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
Right.
And then you commit to it and it ends up into a whole running...
That spirals.
Yeah,
That spirals
hard. Yeah. But with that in mind, did you guys have any particular episodes that you thought were like stand out?
I'll let her go. Guess so first.
Mm-hmm.
Stand out. I actually have to say episode 4. I can't remember the actual name because I don't think they ever said it because I just saw that weird Japanese script and was like, nah, I don't care.
Yeah.
But basically the piano demon, because that was the first one where for all the jokes that it had, it legitimately was creepy and terrifying and still kept that horror element.
Very true.
Plus, I'm a music guy.
Oh, well, there you go.
I actually think I liked episode number 2, which ironically dealt with the toilet.
We'll touch more on that in a bit.
But not too much because it's unsanitary.
Yes. Would that be considered a pun?
Let's flip the coin.
All right, let's see. Heads, it's a pun. Tails, it's not. Oh!
He's lucky.
You are lucky today. All right, and for me...
But that was my 2 cents.
Shoot him.
See? Okay, you pushed your luck with that one. Ooh, darn it! Next time.
Get you.
I'm gonna fix this.
Sorry.
Oh, after we're back from our technical difficulties, my favorite was episode 5, the sports festival one, mainly because of these lines.
Think of a big black man chasing you! Well, he's not racist.
I love Hajime's line in that, and Momoko is just amazing in this episode. Oh my god!
She has a line in there that I love.
Oh.
Where'd Ass Boy go? Get thee behind me, Satan. Behind.
And the delivery for it is
Oh
just
my God.
perfect. It's just, oh, I love it. But we could keep gushing about our favorite episodes or little jokes and stuff in it. But we should talk about one episode that was never translated. The Lost episode, as it's referred to. Episode 21. Episode 21, originally supposed to be episode 3, was replaced with another episode. This never aired, because the preview, which we will show you now, yeah, it deals with the slashed mouth woman myth of Japan. And,
The Glasgow smile there.
indeed, yes, as we would refer to it, or the Chelsea Smile,
Black Dahlia.
Black Dahlia, the
Yeah.
Joker,
Joker,
yeah.
Depending on what era you're born in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
Now, the reason this caused some issues was because after the preview was broadcasted, parents called up to complain because they thought it looked too similar to a medical condition called a cleft lip, which is unfortunately a bit of an issue in Japan. It's a medical issue that tends to pop up over there quite frequently, unfortunately. And because of the complaints against it, they never aired it. So this has never been included on any release. The studio has never released it in any way, and as such, it's never even been dubbed. That footage we just showed you is all you will ever find of it, unless they finally break down and release it, which I don't think they will.
It's also probably a good thing considering how they handled the rest of the show.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind seeing that just to see what they do. I know, but still.
No, I'm with you, but considering what they did with the rest of it, not entirely unhappy.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, yeah.
It's kind of a coin flip.
Yeah, but that's just part of the mystique of this series. There is a lost episode out there, and if anyone ever finds it, send it our way. I'd love to see it, hear more about it. But
Might call it a phantom episode.
Indeed.
We'll put the missing posters of it on.
Yes, we'll put those up
Around,
around, if seen, find this. But that is a myth that, well, since we're on the topic of myths, let's move on to the execution of the myths and legends in this series. James?
Oh, there's actually every single one kind of deals with Japanese folklore, and as was the stipulation for the dubbing, they all kind of had to follow the rules to take them out. The interesting part, and the fact that the dubbing makes fun of, is they weren't always given context for it.
Right.
So
A lot of myth information.
Again.
Uh-oh.
It misfired! What?
It happens to a lot of guys,
Oh.
too.
Screw you!
there's been a lot of technical difficulties here.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Okay.
It might be gremlins.
But I've always been a big myth fan. Anybody who knows me can say that. But I'll admit, Japanese myths aren't necessarily my forte. But what is interesting is how interlocked with stuff that has come out of Japan before I saw when I actually did watch this. Episode 2 that Ted mentioned dealt with the bathroom, and when I saw that, I instantly thought of a Legend of Zelda game, specifically Majora's Mask, which one of the characters in it is a hand reaching out of a toilet asking for paper.
Mm-hmm. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. But like my mind instantly thought about that, and it's like, oh, I wonder if there had been any consequence. If they had thought of that, would that have been interesting to have a consequence if you didn't have any paper?
I'm not as familiar with Japanese mythology as I said. I have a couple books on it, so I do know some, and I do enjoy a couple of other anime series that deal with urban legends and spooky tales and stuff. And as we mentioned, the slashed-mouth woman is a famous one. There's also the large giant woman in the white dress that laughs by going po, po, po or something. I don't know. It's a weird one I discovered shortly afterwards. And of course you have the headless motorcycle rider.
The headless rider.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the English speakers can obviously make the connection to the Sleepy Hollow, the headless horseman, and that also, if anybody's familiar with Irish myth, that can connect to Doolahans, from any sort of Final Fantasy. Doolahan's a common enemy in that. Rider in a chariot, usually engulfed in flames, carrying their head or searching for a head, and that popped into mine, and that's what that episode deals with. It's looking for a head and trying to chop everyone else's off.
It actually pops up quite a bit in recent animes. It's popped up in interviews with Monster Girls. It's popped up in Monster Musume, which we have reviewed, so check it out.
Yeah, I
we
need to
have it
watch
listed
that one.
here.
I've heard it's decent.
It's just watch it, but make sure you're alone.
Decent
Yes.
doesn't mean good.
I know.
Decent means a fun time.
It's fun time. Yes, just make sure you're
Yeah,
by
I've
yourself watching.
I've
that one.
heard.
Yes.
But to get back on
Yes,
topic,
and it also popped up in Konosuba, the World with God's Blessing.
Oh.
that's another one that I
Yeah,
need to watch.
That's a
but
great
still,
one. I would highly recommend that one.
That's on
But-
the list.
And then you have the Possessed Doll. Then you have Mirror Demons and stuff. That
Yeah.
was
Oh,
freaking-
yeah. The Mirror World.
Mirror World
That's
was
an
That one was
again.
Mhm.
To go back to that, for all that it is a humor one, it's the fact that it is still steeped in the folklore.
Mhm.
It's got it does have those moments of genuine scare factor. Like my favorite, the episode that really stood out to me that did that was the Fury Release, the music one, and that kind of brings to mind the fact that there is the world's saddest song, most depressing song, that where people hear it and they actually commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
After
the
hearing it.
Hungarian suicide song.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name is, but
I-
people actually commit suicide after hearing it.
That bad, huh?
It's
Oh.
depressing.
Oh,
It was
right.
actually banned in England during the war.
Yes.
Mainly because they didn't want to like spoil morale and everything, and they thought everyone's depressed enough. And I think it was actually the Billie Holiday version that was banned for the most part.
Yes, but it's that kind of stuff where it's like every sort of culture has these sort of myths. The mirror thing. How many cultures have you heard that a mirror is a gateway into another realm where you have that, and that's just another you're looking at, and you have that fear that that person's going to come and transplant your life
That
and
popped,
trap you.
that's popped up in quite a few. I mean, you got the Bloody Mary myth, which apparently is copyrighted.
Huh.
I did not know that. I found that out recently. Bloody Mary, the name is actually copyrighted, I think.
Oh.
Okay,
And-
there's an aneurysm. Anyway,
And of course, oh yep, tangent. Sorry, I had to pay up.
Well, now we gotta pay for using Bloody Mary.
Oh yeah, that too.
copyright.
Here we go.
The tangent jar shall be the copyright jar as well.
Indeed, so
So-
we don't get sued.
Right.
But it also that same idea popped up in Extreme Ghostbusters in one episode, with ghosts/demons coming through the mirror and possessing people's bodies and sucking their souls into the mirror.
Exactly. So it's like it's so interesting that these sort of things they pop up in various cultures, not necessarily at the same time, but it transcends the culture. So you can find the connection everywhere.
There's lots of mythology that is shared throughout the world, just in some form or another, and it differentiates slightly, but the same premise or ideas are there. And that's what I find fascinating about mythology. A lot of mythologies have flood legends. A lot of them have, vagina dentate to some degree. That pops up surprisingly a lot.
And the hilarious part is that you say shared, but it's shared in the fact that they had it long before the cultures ever touched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's shared across something primal.
Mm-hmm.
And so into like the differences, like the Chinese jumping vampires, and that's probably I'll pay off the tangents. The Chinese jumping vampires, the Romanian just energy vampires, all this sort of stuff, and then just the American sparkly vampires,
Dragons.
dragons, the Chinese slender ones, and then the Western fat but hoarding ones. It's like
Worms.
and so the fact that all of that,
Yeah, it's really interesting, and we hope you enjoyed mythology with Animation Triad.
Yes.
We'll have to touch more on that another time.
something a little more widespread, but
Yeah. An interesting side note about the mythology was in the original release of this by ADV, when it was originally released, they included on the DVDs the background for each of the myths and creatures. And it also included special subtitles, which added more jokes to it.
The re-release doesn't do that, and that makes me sad.
Yes, the re-release, which only has the Japanese subtitles for the original, if you want to watch that, and the American dub, which is awesome. So technically, when you buy this one, which is the only one available at the moment, you don't get any special features,
Right.
but you technically get 2 anime for the price of 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
In a way, you do. But there actually is another English dub of this.
Oh yeah, yes, because they actually was a second, more faithful dubbing, and yeah, wow, okay, no.
Yeah. It's, as we said earlier, it's just forgettable. It's the comedy that is added to it that makes it memorable.
It's a pup named Scooby-Doo done wrong.
Pretty much. And I think that counts as our final thoughts.
For that.
Any other things you'd like to add to this?
Off the top of my head, none that I can think of. It's an interesting case of people looking at something and just what envelope can we push?
Mm-hmm.
And while they hit it for the most part, there were just a few cases where it probably went a little too far. But on the whole, they more or less got a consistent rhythm while still keeping a coherent plot. Though I will say the finale kind of was like, what?
Yeah, I blame that more on the original source, too.
I will completely agree with that because I saw no reason for any of it. I was like, okay, what? The resolution was kind of, it was going, the resolution was kind of like, wait, what?
If it had ended on, should I do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Spoiler! If it had ended on the big ghost fight between, that last ghost demon and, the great Amana
Amana-jaku.
Yes,
Amamu
that one. If it just was just like that and then credits, I thought that would have been cool, you know, because like the ending was just kind of like, you know.
Well, it was an ending for a original series.
True.
So
they work with what they got. I'll give them that.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But I'm just like I would have cut it after that big ghost battle, just because like that would you're ending on a high note.
Yeah.
So you know.
Well, I always think that a lot of animes have trouble with their endings, but it felt to me like it needed a few more episodes. That's a sore point for me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
No,
It
I'm
really
with
is.
you. I'm with you.
Okay, yeah. That's me paying up.
No, I brought it up too.
Mm-hmm. And there you go. So yes, highly recommend it. You can find it on Crunchyroll with the Japanese and the English version.
Yes.
Highly recommend the English version, just saying.
Yeah.
And if you've been wondering why our set keeps changing, well, ghosts.
That's where my guitar went.
I know. So, as usual, I am Stu. And if you enjoyed what you watched, please hit like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get more of us.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's right. You want more of us in your life, don't you? Please? We're lonely. We'd appreciate it. So, with that, as I said, I'm Stu.
Teddy D.
James.
And we are
Animation
Triad. Awkward finger guns.
Awkward archery.
Bye-bye.